The Haifa Negev Technologies plant is a Haifa Group chemical plant, specializing mainly in the production of quality fertilizers for agriculture. The main fertilizer produced is potassium nitrate. The plant operates 24 hours a day. The plant has several facilities: K facility for potassium nitrate production, P facility for phosphoric acid production, T facility for packing phosphoric acid and polyfeed, N facility, which includes a large ammonia plant for nitric acid production. U facility provides energy services such as natural gas, steam, etc. A waste treatment facility for handling chemical waste, which includes evaporation ponds both inside and outside the site. MAP facility for MAP fertilizer production. The plant also has support departments such as packing service, maintenance, housekeeping, warehouse, laboratory, human resources, logistics, security, and safety. The plant's safety and environmental protection policy advocates maintaining the safety and health of all those in the plant and preserving the environment. We consider each and everyone in the plant a full partner in complying with this policy. Anyone who seeks to work in the plant must receive safety training. Upon its completion, the employees must sign a safety training form. Plant employees will then be given personal badges and continue the onboarding process, while contractors completing training will proceed to the permit office, located at the plant's main entrance to receive entry permits. An ID badge or other valid government-issued ID must be deposited at the permit office. In exchange, you'll be given a temporary magnetic proximity badge, which will serve as your entry permit to the plant. At the end of the workday, the employee will return the badge to the permit office. Contractors will receive badges after receiving safety training or based on the approval of the security department. An employee or contractor who received a permit to enter the site with a vehicle will swipe their badge at the checkpoint and enter the site after the vehicle has been inspected by a security guard. Passengers other than the driver will enter through the revolving gate. The badge is personal and may not be transferred to others. It is strictly forbidden for any other employee to enter or leave using the same badge. Improper use of the badge will result in a disciplinary inquiry. Destruction or loss of a badge will result in a fine. Entering with a vehicle is forbidden unless a special permit has been issued by the Safety and Security Department. The permit must be placed permanently on the vehicle's dashboard. Company vehicles do not require written entry permits. Please keep in mind that hazardous materials are used in the plant's production process. The following are the primary substances: ammonia, a very toxic gas to inhale which may cause burns when coming in contact with the skin and mucous membranes. Various acids and bases such as nitric acid, caustic soda, etc. These substances may cause skin burns and respiratory damage. There are large quantities of flammable and explosive liquids in the plant, such as diesel, alcohol, and fuel oil. Explosive gases such as LPG and natural gas. Ammonia can also explode in certain conditions and concentrations. In certain conditions, these substances could ignite or explode in a split second. Potassium nitrate, the plant's final product, despite being a quality fertilizer, is soluble in water and is an oxidizing agent. When it comes in contact with organic matter such as wood or oils, it may cause a fire or intensify an existing fire. There is harmful noise in different areas of the plant. Prolonged exposure to harmful noise may cause irreversible cumulative damage to hearing. These areas are signposts. Safety guidelines must be followed. The harmful noise is often caused by tools or equipment being used. Hearing protection must be used in such instances as well. Pay attention and be careful of vehicles operating within the plant. Private vehicles, forklifts, trucks, tankers, and heavy machinery. In some of these vehicles, the driver's field of vision is very limited, which increases the risk of an accident. Try to make eye contact with the driver so that he is aware of your presence near the vehicle. When walking and working within the plant, the following guidelines must be followed. When going up and down stairs, always hold on to the handrail. There is no need to run, especially in the operating areas. From time to time, puddles are formed in the plant, some of which are rainwater or processed water, but some may contain oily substances or hazardous materials. Avoid entering puddles, especially if you do not know what materials they contain. Hazardous puddles should be rinsed or absorbed, depending on the material and the location. Return gratings to their place even if it was not you who removed them. They are a hazard. If you cannot neutralize the hazard, mark or barricade it to prevent others from tripping. Avoid laying cables or pipes on the floor. They are a hazard. Always strive to place the cable or pipe in an elevated position. This will prevent others from tripping. Riding within the plant is permitted only on tricycles. Haifa Technologies employees may also report safety hazards using the Haifa Safe app. High-risk work is performed in the plant, including work at height, working in confined space, or hot work. Those under the age of 18 will not be permitted to enter. Wear appropriate clothing. Work clothes should be made of cotton or at least 60% cotton in order to avoid electrostatic discharge. The consumption of alcohol or drugs is forbidden. Smoking is forbidden, except in designated areas. Do not eat in the production facilities, only in designated areas such as the dining room, resting rooms, etc. Be sure to wash your hands with soap before meals and when leaving the lavatory. Whenever working or walking through operating areas, you must wear and use basic personal protective equipment, long-sleeved clothes, a safety helmet, safety glasses, S3 anti-static safety shoes, and an escape mask, and depending on the nature of the work, other protective equipment will be required, such as earplugs in a noisy environment, chemical gloves for working with chemicals, a gas mask, and so on. Haifa Technologies does not provide safety equipment to contractors. Most of the work and tasks carried out at the site require written permits. Contractors must receive a work permit for all tasks. The work permit is actually a risk assessment for the task. The person requesting the work will prepare the work permit. The permit will include task description, its location, preliminary preparations, required safety equipment, the names of the employees participating in the task, and so on. The permit form will be signed by the person requesting the work, the receiver of permit, the person performing preliminary preparations, and any other professional as needed. The permit is daily and limited in time. High-risk tasks require safety permits as well, for which the safety department is responsible. A safety permit is required for work at height, hoisting work, confined space work, hot work, work on ammonia pipes, fire protection systems, natural gas and LPG pipes and systems, city water pipes, excavation work, high voltage work, construction and demolition work, work involving dangerous radiation, or any other task as required by the safety inspector. When necessary, a safety inspector will be called in, and only after he has inspected the nature of the work, performed a risk assessment at the job site, he may authorize the task. Issuing a safety permit requires the presence of other functionaries, such as the facility manager and/or his representative, the maintenance engineer, electrician, etc. The work and safety permit is limited to 12 hours maximum. At the end of the work, the permit must be handed back and signed by the authorized person. Signing the permit will indicate that the receiver of the permit has completed the task and the area is clean and orderly. For contractors, handed back permits will serve as confirmation for payment by Haifa Technologies. When additional work is required beyond the time provided by the permit, the permission of the shift manager in the control room must be obtained. By no means, no task will exceed the number of hours permitted by law. Remember, this is a chemical plant containing flammable and explosive materials. Therefore, all hot work requires the approval of the safety department. First, let's define hot work. Any work that generates heat, fire, sparks, all use of welder machine, disc grinder, cutting torch, heat blower is called hot work and requires several preparations. All use of power tools will be considered as hot work even if it does not generate heat. First, a risk assessment will be conducted with the safety inspector. Make sure there are no flammable materials within a radius of 11 meters from the work point. Any flammable liquid, even paint, will be kept in the work area in a spill pallet. If flammable materials cannot be kept away, make sure that the heat or sparks cannot reach them. You can use a variety of methods, such as covering them with flame-proof tarps, wetting down the surface, and more. In certain cases, the safety inspector may determine that pipes containing flammable liquids or gases must be drained and cleaned. The work area will be demarcated using hazard tape or fencing. In accordance with the safety inspector instructions, it is mandatory to designate one person as a fire watch. The fire watch does not participate in the work. His duty is to look over the work area at all times and give the alert in case of a fire or if there is risk of fire breaking out. The fire watch is the first responder. The fire watch must be equipped with ready-to-go firefighting equipment adjacent to the work area, a powder extinguisher of at least 6 kilos, a fire hose, or any other means required by the safety inspector. In our plant, red hoses are stored in the fire hose cabinets. It is for emergency use only. For any other use, such as the hose used by the fire watch, use the white hoses. Plant employees will receive the hoses from their foreman, while contractors are required to purchase the equipment themselves. Fire hose cabinets may not be opened for hot work or for any other purpose other than putting out a fire. Throughout the plant, there are many underground infrastructures, including power lines, sewage, fire protection pipes, and more. And therefore, the safety procedures must be followed. Let us first define excavation. Any excavation placement of a pole or stake deeper than 20 centimeters is defined as an excavation. To carry out an excavation, you must call in the plant's infrastructure manager, or, in his absence, the electrical engineer, who will authorize the excavation en route based on the plant's infrastructure plans and inspection on the site. If necessary, infrastructure detectors will be used. The excavation zone will be demarcated by fencing or hazard tape. When there is suspicion or doubt regarding infrastructure in the excavation area, we will conduct an exploratory excavation. Starting from 1 meter away from the location of the infrastructure, slowly and carefully dig by hand tools and make sure there is no infrastructure that could be damaged in the excavation area. The soil excavated out will be piled up at least half a meter away of the excavation edge. The excavation area must be demarcated with rigged fencing to prevent falling. Every excavation posing a risk of falling will be marked with a red light in the dark. The boundaries of every excavation will be demarcated. The excavation must not go beyond this marking. When a person enters the excavation, the following conditions will be met. Excavations of 1.2 meters deep or more require reinforcement of excavation walls unless they were excavated with a natural ground slope. People will enter the excavation through a suitable slope in the ground and/or stable ladders. The distance between an employee and a ladder will not exceed 20 meters. In recent years in Israel, there have been quite a few work-at-height accidents that ended in disasters. In Israel, there are about 20 deaths a year on average due to work accidents related to work at height. We must be careful and aware of the dangers of working at height. First, let's define work at height. Any work including access to a workplace that may cause an employee to fall a height exceeding 2 meters. Work carried out over a work platform without fencing or standard guardrail, or work requiring a tilting of the human body more than 45 degrees beyond the fence or guardrail of the work platform. Work performed from a mobile elevating work platform, lifting man baskets, or mechanized scaffold. Many work-at-height tasks are performed in the plant. A person seeking to perform work at height must first be certified for this by a qualified school. The certificate must be presented during the onboarding process in the plant. Make sure the certificate is valid, signed, and that the topics relevant to the work in the plant were learned in the course. For example, if the plant task is on mobile elevating work platform, but the employee is only certified to work on ladders and scaffolding, he will not be able to perform the task. A photocopy or original of the official certificate must be presented, not a pocket card certificate. The plant issues an internal pocket card indicating that this employee is permitted to perform work at height at Haifa Technologies. The plant provides safety equipment only to its employees. Contractors are required to provide their own equipment. Remember, work at height is classified as high-risk work. Therefore, in addition to receiving the work permit, it also requires a safety permit issued by the safety inspectors. Every work at height requires an additional person to watch the work from ground level. This person is not allowed to participate in the work. Before starting, the additional employee will always check that his coworker is using the safety equipment as required. The area of the work at height will be barricaded or demarcated using hazard tape. In Israel, it is customary to use equipment conforming to European standards, EN. When working on ladders, make sure the ladder is stable by tethering it or having another person hold it. Fall protection systems. Fall arresting systems. The purpose of fall arresting system is to ensure that in case of falling, the employee will not hit the ground and be injured. It must take into consideration whether the fall area is clear or whether there are obstacles in the way which may injure the employee during a fall. There are several types of fall arresters. An energy absorbing arrestor, a retractable arrestor known as a yo-yo, a rope or cable arrestor known as a mouse. The energy-absorbing arresters produced by most manufacturers are usually not suitable for work at height of under 5 or 6 meters. Therefore, use either retractable yo-yo or mouse arresters. For work higher than 5 or 6 meters, you can use any type of arrestor: energy-absorbing, yo-yo, or mouse. A fall prevention system. This system is designed to prevent an employee from reaching a dangerous area and thereby prevent him from falling. A work positioning system is made with a rope used for two main purposes. A, as a leaning point when working on a ladder or construction, thereby freeing the hands for the work itself. Note that use of a working positioning rope attached to a ladder requires a stable and tethered ladder. B, as a means of tethering within the mobile elevating work platform, man lifting basket, or mechanized scaffold. Anchoring point. An anchor point is used to connect fall arresters or the rope in case of rope fall arrestor system. This point should be strong and stable, capable of handling the forces exerted during the fall of a person secured with the fall arrestor. Please note that you should not anchor to thin pipes, chemical pipes, plastic pipes, fire protection pipes, etc. Preferred points are constructions or large pipes, if approved by the safety inspector. It is usually hard to connect the fall arrestor hook directly to the anchor point. Therefore, it is necessary to use anchor loops or lanyard called a sling. When using anchor lines or lifelines, use only standard lines, a standardized synthetic line or standardized cable, installed and approved by the professional company. When working on a mobile elevating work platform, connect yourself to the anchor point with a work positioning rope. It is forbidden to go outside the platform cage unless a fall arrestor is being used for the transition. It is required to receive operating instructions from the mobile elevating work platform owner, as well as the certificate of appointment. Electrical work will be carried out only by qualified electricians. Tie-in to the plant systems will be carried out by plant electricians or with the approval of the plant's electrical engineer. Temporary electric panels must be approved by an electrical inspector and a plant electrician before being placed. Disconnection from or connection to another system, fire protection lines, ammonia lines, gas lines, or lines running any other hazardous material require the approval of a plant representative. Work on natural gas, LPG, ammonia, or fire protection water lines requires a safety permit. Work in confined spaces is classified as high-risk work. A confined space is any container, cell, pipe, cylinder, pit. Working in confined space may pose many risks to the employee. Oxygen deficiency, inhalation of toxic gases, an explosive atmosphere, being trapped, drowned, and more. To carry out work in confined spaces, it must be considered whether there are no alternatives, and the work must be done in confined space conditions. Once it's been determined that there's no way other than entering a confined space, the following rules must be observed. A risk assessment must be conducted together with the safety inspector, and the inspector must brief about the risks that exist. It is mandatory to obtain a safety permit in addition to the work permit. Prior to entry, the air in the confined space must be monitored using gas detectors, an oxygen level detection, an explosive atmosphere detection, a toxic atmosphere detection, and depending on the result, the place must be ventilated or entered using breathing protection device, such as a respirator, an airline mask, a self-contained breathing apparatus, etc. Disconnect and lock the dangerous energy sources prior to entry. The disconnection will also be noted on the safety permit. It is mandatory to appoint a confined space watch or attendant. Have a means of communication between the watch and the employee inside the confined space and between the watch and the rescue team. It is mandatory to prepare rescue equipment in case of an emergency, and respiration equipment at the scene, such as a respiration mask. When work at height is carried out inside a confined space, make sure the employee carrying out the task has been certified for work at height in confined spaces conditions, and that fall protection equipment is used in addition to rescue equipment. Hoisting includes lifting and hoisting equipment or materials using cranes, self-loading cranes, crane trucks, mobile cranes, gate cranes, monorails, or any other lifting equipment. Hoisting is classified as high-risk work and therefore requires a safety permit. These are the main points. Means of lifting or hoisting require valid safety certificate conducted by an inspector. Lifting accessories such as web slings, chains, etc., must be reviewed by a certified inspector. A mobile self-loading crane also requires a vehicle license and valid insurance. The crane operator and the signalman must have valid appropriate certification as well as plant safety training. The crane operator and/or the signalman must wear a reflective vest and helmet. The crane operator will approve the lifting plan and sign the safety permit. The lifting area will be fenced or demarcated with ribbon tape. There is a lot of traffic in the plant, including private vehicles, trucks, tankers, heavy equipment, forklifts, and people. The plant is classified as an operational area under the supervision of the traffic safety officer. As mentioned, vehicles entering the plant must have entry permits. Contractors may bring in up to 2 vehicles. Parking is permitted only in the designated parking areas. Vehicles may not enter the facilities without the approval of a facility representative. Patrol vehicles may not enter the facility. Entrance to facilities is for loading and unloading heavy equipment. In any event, do not leave your vehicle inside the facility. It is forbidden to leave a running motor vehicle inside the facility with or without supervision. It is forbidden to leave a running vehicle without a driver anywhere in the plant. Speed limit inside the plant is 25 kilometers per hour. Do not block emergency vehicle lanes, fire hydrants, or passages, or park in places marked as no parking areas. For example, red and white pavement. All state traffic safety rules also apply inside the plant. Pay attention to pedestrians and give them the right of way. There is traffic in the plant of forklifts, trucks, tankers, bulldozers, and buses. All vehicles must observe the rules of traffic safety. A load on a forklift or other vehicle must be secured so that it will not fall during transit. The edges of long or wide loads will be marked with prominent red hazard tape. A heavy machinery moving in reverse must be directed by an additional person. It too must not drive more than 25 kilometers per hour. Heavy vehicles will only travel on paved surfaces. Buses will pick up and drop off passengers at designated stops. The passengers must wait until the bus comes to a complete stop. Many people walk around the plant complex performing various jobs and tasks, and are not always aware of the work being done around them by other employees, and may be exposed to risks and injuries. It is therefore necessary to demarcate and barricade your working area according to the procedures and the instructions of the safety supervisor. Do not cross a demarcation hazard tape or barricade. The work area must be tidy and clean during the work and certainly after it is completed. An untidy area constitutes a safety hazard. Remember that one of the conditions for hand back a work permit is leaving your work area clean and tidy. Every team working in the facility must know the location of the emergency showers, eye wash stations, and firefighting cabinets. Haifa Technologies adheres to environmental regulations. It is prohibited to dump or bury waste throughout the plant, especially chemical waste, which may harm the soil and the groundwater. The emission of pollutants into the air is prohibited. All dangerous substances brought into the facilities, even if in small containers, will be stored in spill pallets. In a chemical plant, you can never know the resulting reaction if a material spills on the floor, into a channel, to the floor below, or to the ground. Tools must be in proper working order and conform to standards. It is the responsibility of the person using them to ensure they are in working order. Power tools must be inspected by the plant's electrical department prior to use. Regular plugs and sockets must be replaced within industrial ones, which do not produce sparks and are adapted to an explosive atmosphere. There are places and/or types of work where the tools and equipment must be adapted to an explosive atmosphere. When you need to lift heavy loads, act responsibly. Do not lift by yourself any loads exceeding 25 kilograms on your own. Use lifting equipment or get help from other team members. To protect the vertebrae in your back, lift heavy loads using leg power without bending your back. Work ergonomically while protecting your skeletal and muscular systems. Take breaks from time to time while performing many repetitive actions in a short time or remaining in a fixed position for a long time. Muscle relaxation exercises and stretching are a good solution. Maintain adequate lighting. When working in hot weather conditions, be sure to hydrate and apply sunscreen. When working on your knees, use knee pads. Every container used to store equipment requires signage indicating to whom it belongs. If not otherwise approved, a 6-kilogram fire extinguisher must be installed on each container. If the container is intended for the storage of hazardous materials, Safety Department approval is required. Any safety incident, injury, or near accident must be reported to one of the Haifa Negev Technologies managers or the Safety Department. The plant has a central laboratory which tests, analyzes, and experiments on various materials. Some of the activities involve the use of hazardous materials. Laboratory work requires wearing long work clothes or a lab coat over a short-sleeved shirt, S3 safety shoes. Low-top shoes may be worn in the lab, but it is forbidden to wear sports shoes, open shoes, slippers, etc. Always use safety glasses. Additional equipment such as gloves should be used depending on the type of work involved. Using a fume hood. The fume hood is designed to protect employees from exposure to fumes and gases from the material or experiment being conducted. Be sure to close the hood sash as much as possible to prevent fumes or gases from entering the laboratory space. What to do in an emergency. If an employee is injured by a hazardous substance, wash the eyes or body in the emergency shower for at least 15 minutes and inform a coworker about the incident. If you need to evacuate the lab, you can use the main door or the emergency exit. In emergencies, and in fires in particular, disconnect the laboratory's gas systems. When an emergency event in the plant involves a toxic gas leak, disconnect the fresh air system in the laboratory. When carrying samples of test tubes and hazardous materials, always use a dedicated container and the dedicated carrier for carrying test tubes and vials. When storing materials, pay attention to the following. Materials will be stored according to type. Do not store acid and base substances together. And do not store flammable and oxidizing substances together. Cleaning workers perform cleaning work in many places in the plant. In some places, the risk of injury due to the environmental conditions is lower, such as in the executive offices, employees' showers, etc. But there are cleaning jobs carried out in operators' rooms, manufacturing facilities, facility maintenance rooms, electrical and equipment rooms, and more, where risk levels are higher. Here are the main guidelines. Clothing and personal protective equipment, long pants, S3 safety shoes, and an escape mask. In the facilities, it is also mandatory to wear a long-sleeve shirt, safety glasses, and a helmet. Use of cleaning agents. Some cleaning agents are dangerous and may be composed of acids or bases that are dangerous to touch, swallow, or breathe. When pouring detergents, wear safety glasses and suitable gloves, for example, latex, rubber, neoprene, etc., not cloth gloves, which absorb the substance. Cleaning agents such as bleach, hydrochloric acid, and others must be poured in a ventilated area. Every detergent that has an unpleasant, strong, or pungent odor should be poured out in a ventilated place. It is forbidden to mix detergents, especially bleach, with hydrochloric acid, degreaser, etc. Mixing them may create toxic chlorine fumes. Do not transfer detergents from their original containers to different containers or packaging. Washing the floor. When washing the floor, make sure the wet floor sign is prominently placed. Safety guidelines for cleaning workers in low-risk areas. Minimal protection requires closed work shoes, long work clothes, no short pants or short sleeve shirts. Wear rubber gloves when using chemicals such as bleach or degreasing agents or chemical sprays. It is mandatory to wear safety glasses when working with cleaning agents. Various gardening work is carried out around the plant. Most of this work does not take place inside the facilities, but it too entails unique risks, such as injury from tools, getting hit by a passing vehicle, damaging infrastructure while using tools, etc. Important points when doing gardening work in the plant. Gardening work requires obtaining a work permit, unless otherwise determined by the plant. Every worker must be familiar with the operation of their tools and the risk of operating them. Personal protective equipment. The protective equipment must be suitable to the tool and the task. Beyond basic items of clothing, such as long pants, S3 safety shoes, and an escape mask, the following guidelines must be observed. When working with tools with rotating blades, such as a saw for trimming bushes or a chainsaw for tree trunks, you must use a face shield, hearing protection, and work gloves. In addition, you must demarcate the work area so that the pedestrians do not enter the work area and get injured. Before carrying out the work, check whether there are any infrastructures that may be damaged by your tools. For example, power cables on the ground, water or air conditioning piping. When working with a leaf blower, it is mandatory to wear safety glasses, hearing protection, gloves, and breathing protection due to the large amounts of dust. Road work. If you need to work near or on a road, wear a reflective vest and take portable fencing that will alert drivers. Do not perform such activities in the dark. Every use of hand tools with the potential to cause cuts requires the use of suitable work gloves. Before using fuel-powered tools, make sure there is no fuel leakage. If there is fuel leakage, the tool should not be used. Electric tools will be inspected by the plant electrician. Avoid dragging power cables through water puddles. Do not leave trimming waste at the end of the work. This causes dirt and poses a safety hazard. Trimming waste may ignite and pose a hazard. The Haifa Negev Technologies plant is in the Dimona area. In our area, the time available to enter a protected area is 90 seconds. When there's an alert of rocket or missile fire, an eternal plant alarm and red alert message will be sound. Enter a protected space in the allotted time. The plant has several shelters. If you do not have time to enter a protected area, find cover and lie with your hands covering your head, in a ditch or near a wall. Avoid taking shelter near hazardous material containers or stores. When carrying out work in an unfamiliar part of the plant, find the location of the nearest protected area. In the event of an earthquake, quickly move to a safe place, in the following order of priority. If it is possible to exit the building within seconds, exit the building and go to an open area. If it is not possible to quickly exit the building, enter the protected space. Only if you are not able to choose either of these options, take cover under heavy furniture or sit on the floor against an inner wall. If there is an earthquake when you are outside, remain in the open area and move away from buildings, piping bridges, and power poles. Do not return to work until a comprehensive inspection of the plant has been made and the order to return has been given. In the event of a hazardous material leak, which may endanger human life an announcement will be made describing the nature of the event and the required course of action, usually moving away from the area perpendicular to the direction of the wind. At the same time, the emergency team will be scrambled by an announcement on the public address and radio system. Depending on the severity of the event, you may receive instructions to enter rooms and close all openings and/or an instruction to use personal escape masks. In case of a decision to evacuate the plant, all employees and contractors must be careful not to leave tools and machines operating unattended, such as cutting torches, welders, and so on, and quickly move to the main gate, which is the main gathering point. It is very important to go to the gathering area, as that is where employees will be counted and later evacuated as necessary. In a large-scale event, the plant's gates will be closed and only tankers will be permitted to exit and rescue forces permitted to enter. During a fire, the plant's emergency team will be scrambled by the public address and radio systems. If the event is life-threatening, instructions will be issued over the PA system like in a hazardous material event. It is very important to follow all instructions. Make sure not to block the gates or passages. During a large-scale event, the plant's gates will be closed and only tankers will be permitted to exit and rescue forces permitted to enter. The Haifa Negev Technologies plant is a chemical plant, and fire is one of the most significant risks. The nearest fire station is in Dimona, hence the great importance of quick personal reactions and the response of the emergency team. Even the smallest fire could quickly develop into a large-scale event. We expect every employee and contractor to provide an initial response if fire breaks out near or at his work area. The initial response will be carried out on the condition that it does not endanger the employee or contractor. If a fire breaks out near you, immediately report it and at the same time, act decisively to put it out, but without endangering yourself. To provide an initial response, there are fire cabinets around the plant, which include powder extinguishers and/or water hoses. When using an extinguisher, pull the safety pin while tearing the guard. Hold the extinguisher in one hand without pressing the handle, and in the other, hold the extinguishing hose prior to activating it. Stand 3 meters from the source of the fire, depending on its intensity and the wind. Aim the extinguishing hose at the base of the fire and press the activation handle. Start extinguishing from one side to the other of the flame, while continuously spraying the extinguishing agent until the extinguisher is empty, even if the fire has been put out. When using a water hose, connect the hose to the hydrant. Make sure it is securely attached and turn on the nozzle. At the plant, we mainly use 2-inch hydrants, while the 3-inch hydrants are intended for use by the fire brigade. The plant also has automatic fire extinguishing systems and powerful water cannons for use by emergency teams. In case of injury or any other medical incident, immediately notify the control room, the shift manager, or security. The phone numbers appear on the work permit. If needed, there is a medic in the plant 24 hours a day who can be called. In the event of hazardous materials making contact with the eyes or skin, quickly get to the nearest shower and eye wash station. Shower or rinse the eyes for at least 15 minutes. At the same time, have a coworker call for help. If you are near an emergency cabinet, use the defoderine it contains. Emergency cabinets are located in the facilities and control rooms. There is a bottle for washing the eyes and a spray for skin injuries. These are most efficient when used within the first minute. If an employee near you has been injured, provide first aid as best you can until the medic arrives. Haifa Negev Technologies has zero tolerance for violence, theft, or other criminal incidents including verbal violence. An employee or contractor involved in such an incident will be removed immediately and legal proceeding will be filed against him. At Haifa Negative Technologies, we believe in educating for a culture of safety, but occasionally, when serious safety violations are committed, the plant may impose fines. This procedure is performed in an orderly manner through the safety department. There are many risks in the plant, but observing the rules and safety guidelines and maintaining a high level of safety culture will ensure work without incidents or accidents. Remember, there's someone waiting for you at home at the end of the day. Come and go in peace. Thank you, the Safety and Security Department of Haifa Negative Technologies.